With that, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is May 28th, right? 27th. And I'd like to call the Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee meeting to order. Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. With that, we'd like to start by asking the coordinating board to read off the guidelines that governed a public meeting. Dwayne, if you would, please.
Sure. Just a reminder that this meeting is being broadcast live and recorded. We are currently on YouTube Live. So again, we ask that people keep their mics on mute unless they're speaking, and to try to keep background noise to a minimum. Be sure to state your name when you speak, because even though we have you visually, we sometimes need to make sure who it is who's speaking at each time. Chat for this meeting is disabled, but if you have if you have something to say, there's a raise your hand feature somewhere in this Zoom environment, and we'll recognize you. And at that point, I believe the YouTube is live and does have a comment section. Unfortunately, with a live meeting, we are not able to address those directly. But if you have I guess for anyone in the public has a comment, can submit it to WECM at highered.texas.gov, and we will check that occasionally.
Okay. With that, go ahead, Dwayne.
I'm sorry. Also, part of the Open Meetings Act requires you to keep your cameras on at all times and to keep them muted unless you're speaking, like I said. The attendance and votes will be taken by roll call. And as I said, raise your hand if you need to speak.
You finished, Dwayne?
Yeah, now I'm trying to take down the I'm trying to take down the meeting announcement.
Okay. Just let us know when you're ready for us to get started with the agenda.
Okay, and sorry, Olga is now joining, so I'll have to let her in.
And I'll say, as we're getting started here, thank you, committee members, for your patience in getting this meeting arranged and running. And thank you for bearing with us as we navigate the technical complications entailed in getting it started. We appreciate members of the public who are watching on YouTube as well. We're in a kind of a new world of technology here, and we'll do our best to be responsive to any questions you have. Committee members, I will advise you not to use the chat on YouTube, please. In this open meeting forum, our questions and discussion all needs to be on record visually and orally.
Okay. Dwayne, have you let everyone in?
Olga is still connecting, so we'll give her a minute.
Sure.
Again.
Hey, Dwayne.
Yes.
My videos, oh, there it goes. I'm trying to see if I can get my video to work with me here. Give me a second. Because she said you had to have a video presence. This is James.
Yes, we'll need to have at least a quorum visible at all times.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave and come back in.
Let me ask as well, that when you speak during the meeting, please identify yourselves. That will help us keep track of who is making comments, who is making motions, etc.
Okay, James, we see you.
Oh, you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Olga seems to be having some technical difficulties with her connection. Joyce, do you want to wait another minute, or do you want to go ahead and get the meeting started and let Olga join us as she's able?
What I'd like to do is get started at least with introductions and especially the new members, and have them, I know they've said their name, but maybe they can give us a little background on them. So while we're waiting for Olga to join us, again, welcome new members to this, what I say is a great and probably the best committee that the coordinating board has. We take our responsibilities really serious, and our accountability to the state as a whole and our fellow colleagues for career and technical education definitely hold us accountable. So with that, I will ask Kevin Morris, and many of you know Kevin. I know Kevin, so he's not a stranger to a lot of us, but some of you may need an introduction for him to tell you what role he plays at his college. So Kevin, why don't we start with you?
Well, thank you very much. I'm Kevin Morris at San Jacinto College South Campus. I'm Dean of Business and Technology. I started with the college and part-time instructor in 1985 when I was very, very young. And then full-time in 97. Been faculty, a department chair, and then the dean of this division for the last 8 years. Okay. Also on the board of TACTI. And just enjoy what we do very much, and still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to continue to do it.
Yeah. That becomes a challenge in this environment, but as community college, we always rise to the challenge and meet it head on. With that, Mr. Gregory.
Hi, I'm Andrew Gregory. I teach at College of the Mainland. I primarily teach drafting, but I also serve as the drafting program coordinator and the business program coordinator.
Okay. Is Kristen on? Kristen Walker?
no, Kristen hasn't, no.
Okay. So we only have the two new members on with us, Andrew and Kevin.
We also have Dixon Bailey.
Yes, I saw Dick. That's where he is. Dixon. Mr. Bailey, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
I thought I was going to skate by, be the forgotten one.
No, I saw you. I just couldn't remember. You didn't seem new.
I'm just hiding the mask of technology. Well, hello, group. My name's Dixon Bailey. A background on me, probably 33 years ago, I started at McMurray University, spent 5 years there, and then went to Midwestern State for a couple of years. Then decided I would try to get back to Abilene, to one of the universities. So I took a job with TSTC to get us back home. 21 years later, I was still at TSTC, but I'd left TSTC and went to Ranger College, and I've been at Ranger for about 6 years. So I've been in higher ed over 30 years. The majority of what I've done in higher ed, actually the 2-year schools, is workforce education, both credit and non-credit, a lot of contract training, creating programs and pathways, internships with business and industry, both local and throughout the state, and even some domestically. So that's been my forte, if you would, so to speak. Now I'm tired and old. That's me, everybody. Glad to be here.
All right, Dixon. Well, I don't want you too tired, but you can definitely be old, because we like wisdom on this committee. So with that, we're going to go ahead and.
Does that mean I can leave?
No.
Joyce, you have one more.
Yes.
Vernell, could you introduce Tom?
Vernell Walker?
Yes, Tom Cox, Dr. Tom Cox, he's the chair of languages at San Antonio College, and his teaching area is American Sign Language. Tom, I have asked to be my replacement because I will be leaving in December. I'm retiring after 42 years.
Wow.
So, it is time to move on and do something else. So if you'd like Tom to tell you a little bit more about him, he's certainly here to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dwayne, can you unmute Tom? Yes. Tom, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. My name is Tom, and I have been at San Antonio College since 2001. Dean Walker mentioned my background is in American Sign Language, and that was where I taught for most of my time, and I've been in my chair role now almost 2 years.
Okay. Well, welcome to all. Why don't we go ahead and start with the current sitting committee, and we will, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we start with the liaisons to the committee? Dwayne has already introduced himself. Mindy?
Mindy Nobles with the coordinating board. I serve as Assistant Director Workforce in the Academic Quality and Workforce Division. I oversee Perkins, our Office of Civil Rights Oversight. I work with Dwayne on WECM and other workforce issues. And I just generally stand to serve wherever is needed. Welcome to all of you. I'm glad to be here this morning.
We'll just keep it and go down so that we can kind of be in order. Joyce Williams, Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce and Community Initiatives, Dallas County Community College District. Leslie?
I'm Leslie Olson with Temple College. I'm a professor of criminal justice, and I'm the director of Perkins Grants.
Joe?
And just to clarify, Leslie is our liaison with TACTI.
Right. Joe?
Good morning. My name is Joe Arrington. I'm from McLennan Community College in Waco. I serve as Division Chair for Human Services and Education Programs.
Vernon? Vernon?
I'm here. Vernon Hawkins, Associate Vice President for Workforce and Continuing Education at Brookhaven College, part of the Dallas County Community College District.
And your service committee is representing?
I am the immediate past president for TASE, so I represent TASE on this committee.
Robin?
Good morning. I'm Robin Garrett. I'm the Deputy Chancellor of Academic and Student Success at Central Texas College.
Rob.
Hi, Blair. I'm Dean of Technical Education at South Plains College.
Am I missing you? Trey?
Troy.
Troy. You're muted.
Hi, good morning. I'm Troy DeFreitas. I'm the Department Chair for Welding Technology at Austin Community College. Happy to be here.
Mary.
Good morning, Mary Adams, Texas State Technical College, Director of Curriculum. Good to see you all.
Dwayne.
Dwayne Shaw. I'm the Dean of Public Services and Industrial Technologies at Kilgore College.
Cynthia. Casparis.
I figured you meant me.
Yes.
I'm Cindy Casparis. I am the Academic Vice President for Academic Affairs at Angelina College. Welcome to the Piney Woods.
It's beautiful. Linda.
Hi, I'm with Lone Star College, serve as Senior Associate Vice Chancellor over External Employer Relations. Started at Lone Star College in 1987. So Kevin, you're much older than I am, I'm sure.
There.
Hold on. Good morning. I'm Sarah Celestine. I'm from Lamar State College in Orange. I'm the Director of the Community Workforce Education Department.
James.
James Chegwood, Tarrant County College, Southeast Campus, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Department Chair.
Olga. You're on mute.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. Good morning. My name is Olga Valerio. I'm from El Paso Community College. I'm the Dean from the Advanced Technology Center. Good morning. Hi, James. Missing you and everybody.
Miss you too.
Rhonda. You're on mute. Rhonda.
Good morning. I'm Rhonda Dozier with Texarkana College. I'm Program Coordinator for Cosmetology, former Dean of Workforce Education and Community and Business Education.
Valerie, I'm sorry I didn't introduce you with the coordinating board staff, but it is your time. Valerie, did you want to say? Okay. Hi.
My name is Valerie. I work with Dwayne and Mindy at the coordinating board. I assist with WECM.
Jim?
Jim is, I think, currently running two meetings.
He's running the stuff. Okay.
Right.
Okay, with that, thank you all very much again for being here, and thank you again for all of the new members that are joining us, and congratulations again, Vanell, on your retirement, and congratulations, Linda, on your from 1987 to now years that you've spent at the college. So why don't we get started? Dwayne, you're going to have to help me. I thought I could see the agenda when I had it up, so I didn't print it. So I'm going to ask you to walk through the agenda as well, since I don't have it in front of me. What I do have in front of me, and I'm not sure if all of you had a chance to print it out, because you cannot, since we are mandated to stay on camera. If you didn't print it out, I'm going to ask for approval of the January minutes. If you have read the minutes, great. If you have not read the minutes and you have them before you, I'm going to ask us to take an opportunity to read over the minutes.
And I'd say the main thing I'm looking for in the minutes is more the factual, were you present and marked absent, or absent and marked present? we need to make that correction, or if you see any other factual, I mean, you don't have to fact check the whole thing, but just basically, do you see anything there that doesn't agree with your recollection? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the agenda up on share screen for a moment.
Madam Chair, this is
Yes.
Cindy Casperas. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from January.
Okay. It has been moved that the minutes be approved as read. Was there a second?
Joe Warrington here, I'd second.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
it's been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as read. With that, I am going to call for an agreed sign of approval of aye. In favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think I saw everybody's mouth moving, so with that, we're gonna say the minutes have been approved as read. Okay, so.
Maurice, may I interrupt, please?
Sure, yes.
On subsequent votes, we'll need to do roll call votes for the public record.
Okay. Yes, I agree. That was just for the minutes. Number 3, Dwayne, do we have anyone that is appearing for public testimony on any of the agenda items?
No, I haven't received any requests.
Okay. Okay, with that, we're on agenda item 4, coordinating board updates for Perkins 5 and other legislative changes. And with that, Mindy, would you also address any coordinating board Perkins changes that are impacted by COVID-19 as well?
I'll be happy to. Dwayne, do you want me to start, or do you have?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, and as I flip back to my written notes here, let me just begin by pointing out that the coordinating board coronavirus update page is being updated frequently. You should check that page as part of your daily startup if you're tracking closely what we're doing at the coordinating board in response to coronavirus and what we're posting from around the state and the nation with regard to that. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and dive into a Perkins update. First of all, communications. We have made a good number of accommodations for the pandemic. We will periodically continue to update the FAQs on the Perkins FAQs in the agency's coronavirus update page. We will be posting a 4th set probably within the week. We are additionally periodically communicating statewide with Perkins directors and contacts. Where it's broadly relevant, we're also CCing the community, state, and technical college liaisons. We're trying to give a quick response to colleges' emails, to grant advisors. If you are a college and are listening and you do not receive a quick response from the person you emailed, please email that person again or email me directly. All due dates have been extended for all applications for the summer. We typically are doing leadership and formula or basic applications. Those extended due dates are posted on the Perkins FAQ page at the top of the page. Of significance right now is the due date for leadership pre-proposals, which is May 29th, coming right up. Of particular importance, because it pertains to all colleges in the state, is the fact that we will extend the basic applications due date to August 31 this year. The CLNA reports are not due until July 24th. Now, I'm going to talk about that extended due date for Perkins Basic a little bit more in just a second. But you can check all extended due dates on the Perkins FAQs page in the coronavirus update on the coordinating board side. Now, let me talk about funds. We've got several waivers and latitudes provided by Department of Education. First of all, I must tell you there's been no extension of the availability period for this current year's formula funds. That date of availability will expire on, or the last date of availability will be August 31st. All funds must be encumbered by that date, and all funds must be expended prior to the submission of the final report. However, those funds should come back to colleges in the mid-year reallocation. So there is that. Additionally, Department of Education has granted a waiver to the state of Texas and all states that applied on the expiration of the federal availability period for FY19 funds. So any reallocation funds that are out there now from FY19 will be available to be reallocated yet again for FY21. And just as a note, FY21's reallocation will be not merit-based for core indicator performance, but will be a formula-driven. We will just run the reallocation back through the same formula that got you your grant funds in the first place. So you'll receive your proportional amount. And then finally, availability of funds. We've extended the basic due date, or will extend the basic due date to the application due date to August 31st. If you have submitted a complete application on August 31st, you may begin to encumber funds on
I think Mindy's frozen.
The suspense.
Yes.
I think she was going to say you could spend twice the amount you were awarded.
Okay. Careful now.
Dwayne, did you say spend it carefully?
No, I just said be careful what you say on live broadcast. Okay, I believe she's gonna try to log back in. While we pause, I just noticed, Joe, you have your hand up. I'm not sure if that was intended or not. Okay. And I think
It was a prior thing, Dwayne, I was raising to second the motion a bit ago. Not a problem.
okay. Okay, thanks.
I apologize. I believe I was just disconnected. Is that the case?
Well, first you were frozen and then suddenly disconnected. Yeah.
Okay.
So the suspense is
okay.
never, it cut you off just before you were to say when the funds would be available.
Okay, your funds for FY21 will be available September 1st. If you've submitted a completed application on August 31st, you can begin to use your funds on September 1st. We will ask you this year to budget for pre-award costs. Instructions are given in the RFA, which we expect to be released about mid-June. If you budget for pre-award costs, you will be able to expend funds just as you usually would on September 1st. let me move on finally with Perkins to say that we've got a save the date out for Perkins Basic Orientation for June 26th. We expect it to be streamed. And it will cover typical issues, what's new with the RFA. We will have a CLNA and incorporating that into your application section this year. And we are still asking for your suggestions on any topics. So we invite people to tell us what you'd like to hear from us about. And finally, the Perkins 5-state plan. I'm pleased to announce that we believe approval of the new Perkins 5-state plan is imminent. Department of Education communicated with TEA, which was the lead on the Perkins state plan this past week, and asked for one minor change for secondary and no changes for post-secondary, and that was the last of the consideration. So we should have a new state plan in place well before we begin FY21 on September 1. And that is my update. Wayne?
Okay, the only things I have to add are just kind of a heads up that we are looking at revising the GIPWE, hoping to call it GIPWE 2020. Again, the way, I guess we're trying to get it done by the end of the year anyway. There was an update made recently that input a Calibrate Texas link in the verification of workforce needs. And that's an initiative kind of put out by Michael Bettersworth that some of you may know. He used to work at TSTC, and now he's kind of he's at a forecasting company. Can't remember the name of that company, but so it's a new tool called Calibrate that works with employer recognized skills and certifications. And
Wayne, pardon me, Troy DeFreitas here. Is the GIPWE being revised is it related to COVID-19?
No, like I said, we haven't put anything in it yet, so we haven't started the revision yet. I'm not sure, since the COVID-19 is such a ongoing process. We basically have everything posted on the website, on our FAQ page for that. The other announcements, I also sent you with the meeting materials, the memo that went out, kind of an update from the last WECM Advisory Committee meeting, the actions we've taken since that meeting. You can look over that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I think that's all I really have, unless you have any questions.
Dorian, this is Mary. I just want to clarify that Michael Bettersworth does work with TSTC. He's the Vice Chancellor.
Okay.
And he is in charge, and he is leading the Calibrate the Skills Engine.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Dwayne, this is James. I had a question.
Yes.
Was that the one with the Cisco, that one memo with the Cisco? That was the one that you guys had approved earlier in the year about that subcommittee?
Right. The memo basically mentioned that the Cisco courses for the Ccna had been revised.
Okay. So what about those other ones? What about the newer ones, the CCNP stuff, the more advanced ones? Have you guys decided to look on those yet, or has that been determined at this point?
Yeah, that hasn't been, those haven't been reviewed yet.
Okay, thanks.
Are there additional questions? I have a question for Mindy. Mindy, would you repeat the orientation date that is for basic Perkins 5?
Orientation will be held on June 26th.
Will that be virtual or face-to-face?
We expect it to be virtual.
So will the information be posted on the website for all of those that can come, or are you just inviting current Perkins managers?
No, we expect it to be broadcast publicly and for it to be an all-come event up to the limits of the Zoom subscription we'll be using, which I believe is 200.
Okay. All right, thank you. There are no additional questions regarding Perkins or the updates that Dwayne sent out, correct? Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Dwayne, would you share your page again?
Do you need a motion to accept those minutes?
Oh, those updates from the coordinating board?
Correct.
No.
I have a question. Y'all touched on it, and this may not be the proper time, but new courses like drone piloting, when will those be, or what subcommittee has those and are looking at those sorts of courses?
Okay, and Dixon, you are right. That's coming along later with a subcommittee report. We do have
gotcha.
that. Okay. As soon as Dwayne pulls the blank sheet of paper from us. So Dwayne, you could just tell us what the next agenda item is. If
well, next would be the, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I understand. You have it up on your computer as well.
Professional organizations, TACE, TACTI, and TACRO updates.
Okay, why don't we go in order? Vernon, TACE.
Vernon Hawkins, Brookhaven College. TACE, of course, really probably a quick update. TACE canceled its, of course, the conference due to Corona in April, but what we're working on now are online training modules that can be presented to those continuing education, corporate training, business and industry personnel around the state. We'll be working with the different colleges on topics that we can have between now and our next conference, which is next year. Of course, we're gearing up for a bigger conference next year. But between now and then, we're working on these online training modules because one of our main emphasis is to train those constituents who are in continuing education, corporate training, and we want to continue to ensure that we do that. So with that said, I mean that's what we're working on. We're continuing to move forward and do what we need to do to build up the continuing education programs across the state.
Thank you, Vernon. TACTI, Leslie?
Olson with Temple College, and TACTI board will be meeting virtually mid-June. We have already announced our April 2021 conference, which is April 7th through 9th. And then after the board meeting, other additional announcements and updates will come out on our webpage.
Leslie is the if the WECM wanted to still have a workshop like we had talked about this time with looking at new courses, if at that point in time, is that something we could still be considered?
Are you talking about a WECM 101 or are you talking about a WECM update?
No, an actual workshop where we were looking at courses, revising courses.
I think it's open for.
Could we tag along if that was up?
It is open for discussion by the TACTI board. However, the problem that we've run into is the space availability at the Omni South Park. And Dwayne Shaw helped me out. I do believe Kurt said last time that it would either need to be something that we do on a Tuesday, Wednesday, because Thursday and Friday created so many problems. Dwayne, am I correct on that? Is my memory correct on that?
Yeah, this is Dwayne Shaw, and that is correct. Due to the booking of the hotel and the use of those conference rooms, the only way that we would be able to accomplish a workshop would be to do it potentially, like you said, the 2 days prior or the day and a half prior to the TACI conference actually taking off.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know if it was an option for us since people will already be traveling. And so I just wanted to know. Thank you very much. I don't think we have anyone from TACRO that's on the call this morning. So
No, Denny wrote that said she had, well, basically with so many people out of the office that she was taking on several responsibilities today. So she said she would try to log in when she could, but she was kind of overwhelmed at the moment.
okay. All right. Well, thank you. So thank you, agencies, for your updating your report. Dwayne, the next agenda item.
Okay, sorry. Next is the report from the WECM Course Review Workshops Subcommittee.
Okay, that would be Rob and
I believe Robin.
And Robin. There are two committees that we look at for course review workshops. So why don't we start with you first, Robin?
Well, good morning. The one that we still have out there pending that we've been trying to get the group together is the HRGY workshop. We haven't been able to get that group together virtually just yet, but the main focus of that one is that we had a request to utilize a SIP code that we hadn't utilized in the past. It came to our attention that horology was under and is under SIP code 470408. And there's a SIP code under the SIP 2020 that is targeted more to the jewelry making, where the horology is more to watchmaking. So we need to get a workshop together to take a look and see if it's necessary to implement the use of SIP code 500713 for jewelry making.
Thank you. We will work with the coordinating board to have those colleges meet, and hopefully we'll get a recommendation of whether or not that is a SIP code that needs to be activated and what needs to be activated under that SIP code, what courses or content needs to be activated under that code. Thank you, Robin, for your work and trying to work with both of those colleges to meet the request of the field. That is one thing, one of our goals that we've set forward as a trigger, things that come from the field that about emerging occupations, new SIP codes that are changing, and I'm so happy to have you on the front line of being able to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll be happy to continue working on this process.
Thank you. Rob Blair is leading our subcommittee in looking at courses that are submitted for review to the WECM and those that are new that are coming through to see if they trigger a workshop or trigger the need to write a new course. And so Dixon, your answer to your questions could come, or your questions could be sent, geared to Rob and his committee. So Rob, you have updates. You and Dwayne have updates for us.
Yes, ma'am. On line item number 7 on the WECM comment subcommittee, I'm going to start with the file that Dwayne sent to us yesterday. I'm going to start with reference 7A, which is the WECM comment spreadsheet. Out of the 40 WECM comments that were subcommittee evaluated, that 8 were no changes were recommended. 12 were subcommittee felt that have been previously addressed through the WECM workshops. There are 4 recommendations to further review local needs special topic courses. There's 1 additional information needed from the submitter in order for the subcommittee to make a recommendation. On 2 comments, investigations to possibly reactivate courses based on findings. And then 1 was identify and correct a course title discrepancy. And then 12 comments led to a recommendation of a WECM workshop in rubrics RTVB and FLMC. So at this point in time, let me ask if there's any questions to any of those recommendations.
So Rob, this is James Chigwin.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, no additional things for wasn't there Cisco comments on there? So the subcommittee decided not to add anything further about the new Cisco, anything additional for any of the Cisco at this time?
Yeah, let me just clarify. Those did come in through the WECM comments, but we did get your email.
Oh, okay.
And that's, I guess, the next thing, or one of the next things we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, and to answer your question, James, that there were a couple of recommendations or comments that reference CCNA, but as Joyce referenced a while ago, those have already been reviewed. The CCNP have not. We didn't receive any comments on, they were specifically CCNA. There was 1 comment that CCNP curriculum, but those haven't been reviewed yet. So I suppose they'll come up later on, but I was specifically addressing the CCNA that the previous WECM workshop should address those issues. There were additional items that were listed in the file that Dwayne sent us yesterday, and the second item, well, the 7B1 was a Cisco networking essentials, and there was a link to a Cisco website, and then also referenced networking essentials scope and sequence. So I guess that's my understanding that will be addressed at CCNP if the workshop is held in regards to, or courses were revised with CCNP. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on to 7.
Well, before you move on, I'm just bringing up, this is the document for the networking essentials.
Okay.
And like I said, this will probably have to go to the Cisco, just a little bit of history. When we convened the Cisco workshop, we reviewed the CCNA courses, but the rest, the CCNP and the other courses were not yet available. So we agreed to convene them once those courses were available. And so we will convene them, I guess, at our next opportunity to look at those courses and this.
Okay, so I need to ask you a question in regards to that scope and sequence of Cisco networking essentials. Is that, James, what you were addressing with in Dwayne's 7C1, that the course descriptions and learning outcomes that's going to change with IT and W courses 1408 and 1454?
Yeah, that was what we were trying to discuss, but I think Dwayne had said talk about them later, but I'm kind of confused about when and where to do it. Like he said, I think Dwayne mentioned the fact that some of those courses, you know, we had that WECM workshop. You guys did a good job about putting the 4 courses, but as he said, those new courses came out after that was done, and we just like to come back and revisit some of those whenever that we could reconvene that workshop. Yes, and I think he just addressed that. Dwayne just addressed that.
Okay, very good. Okay, 7D1 is in regards to an email of evaluation of the real estate 1000 to where TREC only accepts 30 hours. And the real estate 1,000 and real estate 1,200 is a 32-hour minimum. So my understanding that the institution would like WECM for the REL 1,000, 1,200 to be equivalent to the 30 hours minimum TREC is accepting. And then 72 was a TREC letter, and that I'm a little confused on, because on that TREC letter on October 15th, 2019, it says that the institution was approved to offer 1,000, REL 1,000 or 1,200. I think they're just wanting it to be equivalent from 30 hours to 32 hours. So that would be their request.
Dwayne, is that on a TDLR?
No, that's real estate commission.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's under professional development. It's just like a non-credit is just trying to get the courses to meet the mandate that's based on the real estate commission's requirements and the broker's license requirements. Is that correct?
Right. Well, the course they were referring to is a CE mirror of a 2-hour, 3-hour course. And so the minimum hours for that 2-hour course is 32. I know at one point we had mentioned that in some cases, if required by licensing, that a CE mirror course could have less than the credit hour course.
Right.
But it would not, I guess, in order to be equivalent, in other words, in order to convert CEs to credit, you would have to have the same number of hours, but they could teach it for less and not convert it to credit.
Right. And it's in this case, the question is, if the licensing agency has a minimum of 32, then we should change it to 32. So that's my question.
Yeah, well, actually, the minimum is 30.
30.
So the minimum is 30 for the real estate commission.
Right. But the course has a minimum of 32.
Okay.
So the question is, do we lower
range? Is there a range for that particular course?
Right. And I was
for the CE.
Yeah, I was trying to get it to come up.
So that the institution could then still offer it for 32.
The range is 32 to 48.
So it's already 32.
But they want 30.
Oh, they want 30 because they want to be able to do it just as a standalone.
Right.
Okay.
The 32 meets the Texas Real Estate Commission's maximum. It seems to me like they want it the same, so they're not wasting the 2 hours. They're not requiring 2 additional hours that's not needed by TREC.
Right. TREC is it's my understanding that TREC has a 30-hour requirement.
Correct.
Right. And so they want us to lower the range, bottom minimum range for the CE course to be 30 to 48 instead of 32 to 48.
That's my understanding.
That's right.
Yes, Kevin.
I think some of the confusion here comes on when TREC converts classes, they typically don't include part of the exam procedure. So oftentimes if you have a 32-hour course, they don't give a student credit for the 2 hours of the final exam or something like that. So their conversions are all based on 15 classroom hours. So you get 30 hours credit for a 2 credit hour. And oftentimes at proprietary schools, they don't necessarily count the final exam is part of the hours toward the course. So even though you may do 32 hours or 2 hours for a final or something like that, they only give you credit for 30 hours. That's the minimum for licensing.
Okay.
That might help. That might be some of the confusion.
Okay, Kevin. Anyone else?
Yeah, Joyce, this is Vernon. We reviewed this, and actually it came, one of the requests I know came from Midland, and she's on our committee. The issue is, what she says is that if they offer it 32, TREC will not count it. They can't complete their people and get them the license. They only that Trek only wants 30 hours. And so, you know, I see what you were saying earlier. They could offer it at 32. They have been offering it 32. But when they dropped it, they're saying Trek will not take that class as a part of that certification. It has to be 30 hours. Now that's what they presented to us, which is why we submitted it forward.
Does any other college have that issue where if they're offering more than the hours mandated, they actually won't even take the course? That's be a little bit unusual, but I'm not saying that it's not correct. It just seems to be a little bit unusual. So yes, Kevin.
I've not heard of them not taking more hours than required.
Yeah.
A lot of classes do 45 or 48 hours in this subject, and they accept it, although it just colors the box for 30 hours.
Right, right. Well, it does seem a little bit unusual. Why don't I ask this, since Vernon is also on Rob's subcommittee. Vernon, if you would investigate a little bit more with Midland before we change something that could impact the entire group. Why don't you investigate just a little bit more with Midland to get some clarity and send that, of course, to Rob, your chair, and then involve Dwayne in it from that perspective so we can have some research. And I don't think it's something that we have to wait until we meet again if it's an issue that is a barrier to people getting their mandatory CEUs. So if we could solve that through committee, it would be wonderful. And so what I'm going to do, I'm gonna do a roll call vote, but what I wanted to do, since all of these were all together, I wanted to take it as one agenda item for voting all collectively. So we've talked about the proposal of having the colleges that are under HRYG, I think that's the rubric. There's been a proposal for a new SIP to be added to the inventory for the colleges for CTE programs to move the content from that HYRG rubric to a different zip code and possibly a different rubric if necessary, to have those colleges come together to discuss that, because that will be an institutional impact and we don't want to do that without having that discussion. That's one. That the other agenda item involved looking at WECM comments and reviewing those of whether those courses should be added to the WECM, whether those courses should remain as is, as local needs. And now I also want to talk about the process that Dixon also asked about, if there are new courses that are being submitted, maybe because the new members need to also understand how courses are, once they are submitted to us as requests for emerging occupations and emerging industries, how do they then get to this committee, then subsequently get into the WECM? So some clarity, Dixon, on your question about innovative courses or new industry or emerging course content. Your question was specifically about drones, or was it also about other content as well?
Well, probably both. We successfully won a JET application to create what we're calling electronics, robotics, and drone technology program. There's a couple of pretty large committees in the Fort Worth area through the North Central Board. So there's a lot of data, a lot of information, and jobs are forming. We're kind of at that place where we need to do the training. And we even said in the grant that we'd train about 132, but going into WECM and trying to find titles for those, as you know, there isn't anything that I found specific to drone piloting, drone manufacturing, those sorts of courses. So is there any sort of fast lane, if you would, to getting these sorts of things approved in the WECM?
Okay, before we move on to that question, we will talk in general and not in specifics, but in general about the process of getting emerging industry content into the Welcome. And I will just ask this, are these courses that you're talking about, this content you're talking about is going to be offered as credit or non-credit?
Both.
Both, okay. I do know that there are colleges around the state, Lone Star, Brookhaven College, and I'm sure Austin Community College as well, that have been offering drone technology for a while. So I do know that they have probably used courses that are existing in the Welcome that may not have the drone title, but they were within the aerospace.
They fit, yeah.
Industry. And so there are aerospace courses that are listed in the Welcome. And I know San Jacinto probably also knows about those as well. So there are courses, if you wanted to get started today, that you could offer that have been listed on aerospace that you can use under drone technology. But Dwayne, you may be able to give Dixon a little bit more guidance on how do we quickly respond to the field with the opportunity of putting emerging content, whether non-credit and or credit, into.
Yeah, like I said, the two mechanisms we have are the local need courses, which we'll be reviewing next, and the Welcome comments section. So usually a combination of these, the local need courses will get it, the course written, the course description, and then the Welcome comments will bring out the importance or the urgency of it.
Okay, and that's good enough. We don't have to take up a lot of this committee's time. That was just something that was on my mind. And I'm sure I can visit with you specifically and others that have done it. We've got some courses matched up that'll work. But I think this is here to stay, so we probably need to do it right with real titles and descriptions that actually go through reviewing committee. But I'm good.
All right. This committee takes every opportunity to have teachable moments and to be able to share with your colleagues around the state, because there's an opportunity for those who are listening to us who may have some of the same questions that are coming up. So don't think you're taking too much time from us as we push through this.
Thank you.
So with that, before this item gets too long, I will step back again and look and ask for a roll call vote. We have two items that I have put together as one, simply because of the fact that one was approving a initiative that is set forth as coming through Robin's subcommittee, and then she is bringing to this committee for a vote and approval for us to continue the process of looking at, yes, James.
Joyce, I had a question. I'm sorry. Did we finish?
No, it's okay.
Did we finish the comments on the under the WECM comments about the Microsoft Azure? Rob, I noticed is this again? Is this the wrong place, Dwayne, about that? Because I noticed on the Microsoft comments, you talked about the real estate and all that, and I noticed the Azure, but that wasn't addressed.
Yeah, that was actually included, so we can go ahead and address that.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that was brought up from my college, and again, this might be a future action item. Just like Cisco, the Microsoft's changing their curriculum. You remember the ITNW 1408 to the clients and servers? Well, Microsoft's now changing all of their courses probably later this year. So it's not an immediate item, but it will be something I think we need to address. So a lot of those ITNW Microsoft courses are going away and going to Microsoft Azure. And so I think there was I don't know if I attached one of the comments that was attached from Microsoft that's saying the new curriculum going forward. Now, one thing that we will have to probably address is a lot of these are going to be very similar to the cloud that we had just approved back in 2018. So that might be something that either as a trigger, yeah, right here, Dwayne puts it up on the screen. So as you see here, a lot of Microsoft Azure fundamentals, the Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate, so on and so forth. So these are going to replace a lot of the Microsoft, the ITNW 1408s, and I think that affects a lot of the community colleges. So I think that, again, this is my recommendation, that this might be another trigger to have another workshop. I mean, it's not immediate, but maybe something by the end of this year, beginning of next year, because if they're going forward with that, that's something we're going to have to look at. The other thing too is how we're going to address those cloud courses. I remember when I'm being there with Robin back in 2018, I think it was 2018 now, it's been almost a year. We did a great job about doing it. But now this Microsoft is now going to conflict with the, some of these are going to be now with the, in collusion with or conflicting with the, the Amazon stuff. I know we didn't have general specific vendor courses back then, but we're going to have to be very careful now to see this, because if everything now is Microsoft based, now, with all those clouds, so this is a very important thing that I think we're going to have to go forward and look at in the future. Thank you.
This is Linda Head with Lone Star College. I have a comment to that. IT is going to change every year. And I wonder if there's a way to schedule a regular workshop every year so that we're ready ahead of time. We have our faculty approved. Our employers, when employers need to be there, it may be once every year or twice, just because it keeps changing so fast. And it's not going to stop in the near future. And the second item is, during this pandemic, we all know that Texas Workforce Commission is trying to meet the needs of employers very quickly. We got a grant approved in 2 days. That's unheard of. We submitted it on a Monday 2 weeks ago and were approved on a Wednesday. To deliver training, customized training for 2 employers, one that's now making hand sanitizer and one that's an Amazon last mile driving company, subcontractor to Amazon. And so I think that's also why you're seeing more comments about special courses that, our process, we understand the process is special needs course and WECM comments. We just now also have Texas Workforce Commission having these webinars every other week where they're like, we need new courses, we need new courses, we need new training, we need you to do this. So I just want you, Dwayne and the coordinating board, to realize that's going on. So that's why you're getting some extra push, I think, in terms of timing.
Okay, yeah, we'll try whatever we can do to accommodate. If you need to expedite it, I mean, the current expedient method is submit local need courses. Well, I guess the most expedient would be special topics, but if you need those to be expedited, we can certainly get through them.
Yes,
Robin, I think, yes.
Back on the Azure, I believe we made those cloud computing courses very generic. They were not vendor specific. Now, if the Azure classes do not align with what we've done, then we can look at something else. But to avoid having vendor specific courses, we need to try our best to utilize what we already have and see if we need to enhance with additional courses in any way, shape, or form. And that, based on the protocols, would come through a local needs or special topics submission.
Yeah, and I know that, Robin, because I was there with you that day. I remember that day. It was a very stressful day because we had the Microsoft people and all that. But I'm just trying to say that, this does, the IT and W courses will be going away just like that. So that might be something, again, we may have to, like you said, follow up with, somehow.
And again, I think what Robin is saying is that what we try to do in the WECM is to try to ensure that we have colleges that are able to teach content, and they may not be able to teach the specific content if they are not related to the vendor, but they are to be able to teach content that is non-vendor specific. However, if you have an agreement with Microsoft and you are paying a fee to the vendor for a very specific curriculum, we do have courses that are there that are vendor specific. We have tried to get away from that, but we do recognize that there are colleges that do have agreements with vendors to teach their specific content. And so, James, if this is the case where the Microsoft has very specific content and have a paid relationship with the college where that content has to be taught exactly how Microsoft provides it with certified instructors that are Microsoft, that then we do have, it wouldn't necessarily replace the INTW, but there are some other courses that are Microsoft driven. But we had decided as a WECM that the Workforce Education Course Manual is a manual that is for the entire state and benefits them. So we try to make sure that courses are not specifically driven by a vendor, very much like what Linda has just spoken to, because that content changes every year and so frequently that when it's time for us to respond to industry, our hands are usually tied because information cannot be updated and moved quickly because it is specifically tied to a vendor. So, but I agree with you. This is a situation and it's not unlike a bridge that we have not crossed before, but it is something that we do need to get on. And I agree with you. It's not something we need to put in our past, but it's something that we need to quickly put in our future. And we should not wait on looking at this. And so, Robin, again, I come to you because you and others, as well as James and others, led the initiative on the cloud workshop and Azure, Azure, they say it different ways, is a cloud-based Microsoft tool. And so if you would look into that and also give the coordinating board advice of how quickly we need to be able to pull a workshop together. And it's great to be able to do it in a virtual environment.
Joyce, can I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Okay, I thought when we first started all of this, I thought the intention was to make as many of these things as generic as possible. Yes. And then at the college level, you could add the content. You can teach more, you just can't do less.
Right.
So is that not still the intent?
It is still the intent, but we do, it is still the intent, Rhonda. That's why I'm asking Robin to do the research to find out if this is a requirement that that will force us into doing something different than what we intended in order for us to be able to respond to industry. And if we make courses as generic as we can, as an intent, we can then respond, as Linda has said, that the Workforce Commission wants us to be able to do, as our industry partners wants us to do. We respond quicker than we've been able to do that. Have the content that's out there that can be added to. So if Robin, if you would do that and work with Dwayne, giving him guidance of how quickly we need to get this in. And James, if you want to work with Robin, be glad to have you do that as well.
I would appreciate all the help. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Dwayne, is there any additional items under this agenda item?
I think we covered them all.
Okay,
Cisco, yeah.
Okay, so with that, then I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the recommendation from both Robin and Rob's subcommittee. One committee is to move forward with a discussion of the colleges that are offering courses under HRYG rubric for a full discussion about looking at a proposed new SIP that would actually split that content into two different SIPs to be offered. So that's one recommendation that's from Robin's subcommittee to move forward with continuing that discussion with the two colleges. based on that proposal that's been submitted. The other recommendation is from Rob's subcommittee to accept, based on the welcome comments, to accept the adding of courses to the welcome, letting courses remain as local needs, the reviewing of some of the local needs courses that have been submitted. Part of that recommendation is to also have Vernon looking at TASTE, working with Rob and Midland College to look at a course for real estate, to look at the guidelines and recommendations of that course, of whether that should be lowered to less than what is there now. Robin's subcommittee will then take on the responsibility, with the help of James, of reviewing the request for Microsoft Azure or Microsoft Azure on the cloud, to see if whether or not that needs to be specific or it needs to stay, cloud courses need to stay general in nature as well. So those are the recommendations of both subcommittees. And so with that, I'd like to get a motion to accept those recommendations, please.
Madam Chair, this is Mary Adams. I make a motion to accept all the recommendations as you stated.
Thank you, Mary. Can I get a second? Olga has seconded. So it's been moved and seconded that the recommendations be accepted as noted. And with that, I'm going to call for a roll call vote. I'm going to ask, I'm going to start with Andrew Gregory.
For.
Okay. Robin.
Approved.
Dixon.
Approved.
Rob.
Approved.
Troy.
Approved.
Dwayne.
Approved.
Vernell.
Approved.
Cindy. She just left me. Linda.
Approved.
Thera.
Approved.
James.
Approved.
Rhonda.
Approved.
Joe.
I approve.
Mary.
Approved.
Olga.
Approved.
Kevin.
Approved.
Okay. I think the TACTI and the TASTE representatives are ex officio or official? Which one?
Ex officio.
Okay. And Cindy, I need your vote. Cindy Casparas? Okay, thank you. Okay, and Tom Vernell has already voted for you. So with that, I have full approval of the committee. Thank you. So recommendations passed, committee chairs. Okay, Dwayne, next item, please.
Okay, next is the special topics and local need course review subcommittees.
Okay.
I think let's start with the CE courses, and that's Vernon.
Yeah, this is Vernon. Again, I want to thank the my colleagues on the TASTE Leadership Board for the excellent work they've done. It was a greater experience this time. In January, we did this. We had about 260 classes, and since we did this in April this time, we had about 45. So that was a far cry different from what occurred earlier in January. Plus, it was a learning curve for the committee, and they did an excellent job this time of getting together and going through these. And it's like every time we do this, it gets better. So just a few comments of the 45 classes. A number of these classes we had seen before. We had already reviewed them, so it was just a matter of going back and looking in January what we said, and then going back through and making sure that it wasn't a new review, but some of these were especially the local need, were local needs, and then they would come back and ask for it again in subsequent semesters. So just a few quick comments. We found that there were a couple of items that had no non-credit options, such as when the course was created, it had maybe a range of 48 to 96 or something like that, but there was no range for the non-credit, or no course number for the non-credit component. We found out in a few cases, and would recommend that any curriculum reviews that they go forward, that when it comes out of that, it should make sure that you include that non-credit option. The committee wanted me to make sure I brought that forward to this group. Courses remain, we had a number of courses that we remained local need. And so, as we, they just remained local need because we didn't see that there were multiple colleges around the state who needed them, although some of them are really, really good programs that we probably would offer if it wasn't WECM, but if nobody's wanting it, we didn't see any need to go ahead and add it, which is kind of the rule. Again, as before, we had a few that needed 7 to 40-hour range courses because they were primarily used for business and industry. Shorter courses that are in the WECM. So we made a few recommendations there. And then as before, there are a number of areas that we think because of the nature of the request are ripe, I just say are ripe for curriculum review workshops. So we also denoted that in there. If there are any, I would say look over it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I can tell you kind of what the thinking was on it if you don't agree with the outcome. But I think at least in my opinion, what was written, what was observed by the committee, recommended by the committee is pretty straightforward.
We certainly thank you, committee, for reviewing those courses, and your recommendations are very thorough. And so, Dwayne, that was the local need on the CE side. Do we have local need review or comment from submission on the semester credit hour?
Yes, I do. Because this time I was out in quarantine. I need to send in to you the reviews that Dwayne. I have the opportunity to finish all of them yesterday. And then I have a few comments regarding to the local needs for the credit side. I noticed many courses, they are repeating in some community college. They are the same, but they are sending to the different times. And then, but the same college was submitted the same course. Also, I noticed that we have some courses, they are already in WECM, and we shouldn't to be repeating because like you say, WECM is to create the fundamentals in some of the courses to follow the outcomes. Yes, we can change the content. However, we need to focus on the fundamentals because one of the courses that I remember was PLC, Programmable Logical Controllers. They are submitting like a local need when we already have in the system, as well as robotics, as well as electronics. I was really surprised at the chemistry, vodka, and all this kind of stuff. I never drink, and I learned a lot about that. But also some courses are repeating, and I will send it to you all the comments that I have it. I send it also to some to review my comments with another colleagues here in the college that they can give me the also their inputs. But I finished all of them yesterday. I can send it to you today.
Okay, that'll be good.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to be on the local need review for semester hour credit courses with Olga?
James, let's go have James. There are many computer courses. And Linda and James.
Joyce, can an elected official person serve on a subcommittee? If so, I'd like to serve.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Leslie will join you, Olga.
Okay. I can send it to you the reviews to you guys today as soon as we finish the meeting, okay?
And Linda, did you agree? Because she just kind of volunteered you.
I did. I raised my hand.
Okay.
And no one's holding my elbow up.
Okay. And James, you as well?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. So Olga, you have your committee? Is
Thank you.
James, Linda, and Leslie.
Thank you.
They will be your local need review committee for semester credit hour courses. And I'd like to take this opportunity. I've been getting a lot of texts from text messages from colleagues around the state. And I'd just like to thank them for listening in. And you know me, I will take every opportunity to have teachable moments. And so teachable moment is that if those colleagues who are sending text, if you would take this opportunity to make sure that you provide welcome comments of economic and industry drivers in your college area, that so that we can make sure that we are responding to the field, to the needs in the field as quickly as possible to get new courses, emerging technologies, all of those things into the welcome. So if you would do that through welcome comments, if you would do it through local needs, you may not have an opportunity now to do it through local needs, but you certainly can do it through welcome comments. So again, for all those colleagues who are sending me text messages around the state, we welcome you on our live feed and ask that you continue to submit us your comments. Boy, I stirred up something then. I got comments really coming through. So I just have to have that teachable moment, because that's one of the things we've been trying to do, is to make sure that everybody understands welcome, and that we ask that they continue to submit their welcome comments to us so that we can respond to the needs in Texas through career and technical education and CE as well. So Dwayne, next agenda item, please.
Joe has a question.
Yes, Joe, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Before we get off of this, would like to ask about one course on this, the local needs question, and Verna, maybe it's to you. It's the from South College, the teacher assistant / aide, EDTC 1011.
Right.
The notes look like it was archived, and the recommendation is that it comes back. Comment around that if you could, please, sir.
Yeah, sure. And we had some questions about that. And one of the things is that we kind of wanted to go back and ask them what they were trying to do, but the actual description they had was exactly like the EDTC 1011, which was actually archived in 2008. And the reason it was archived was because at that time it did not meet the requirements of the alternative teacher certification program. But when we were looking at this, it said nothing on their form about it being all teacher certification. So it looked like they were doing something with their ISDs, maybe locally, where they wanted to train teacher assistants, which is actually what we thought. It was actually what probably EDTC was before it was aligned with the alternative certification program back in the mid 2000s. So we said that, you know, we left it up to, of course, the entire committee or the curriculum workshop or whatever to say that we would recommend bring that back and use it for this particular course. That's good.
And I think what Joe is saying is that since it is not a pending archive course, that we cannot go back and retrieve an archived course.
Well, then I think we
can't unarchive it. You would have to write you're recommending a
new course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a follow-up to that is, I guess my other question would be, is that the only course in that set they would be looking at using? I mean, this would not be one of a series of teacher aid assistant courses. This is a one and done.
It's a one and done. it's according to what the form that we saw, it was a one and done. They needed this for something that they were doing specific to that. It wasn't a whole set of teacher aid or teacher assistant courses that used to exist.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So Dwayne, do we have the special topics as well? I wanted to take the special topics and local needs as one vote.
Yeah, they were all together on that.
Okay.
List.
Okay, so with that, then I will do another roll call vote for the local needs and special topics for both credit and non-credit, based on Vernon's subcommittee and Olga's subcommittee recommendations. I know that Olga will be submitting her. So I guess what we'll have to do is put hers on pending since she has not submitted those to Dwayne and actually shared those with the committee. So we will take a vote. I'd like to have a motion to move that. Yes, Joe, I'm sorry. Yes.
Just one question. I agree with we need to do the vote. Like back to the education course for a second. Since the committee is recommending it come out of archive and it appears that's not a mechanism possible, do we need to amend their recommendation to pull that particular spot off?
I think I just did when I clarified your question. And so I think Dwayne understood that that we were changing that recommendation that they had and Vernon had agreed and understood. So I think I just took it for granted that when I saw Vernon nod his head and Dwayne nod his head, that they understood that we were changing that recommendation to say that they were going to they were proposing to write a new course. Is that correct, Vernon and Dwayne?
It is correct because originally what we had thought we were going to put it needed to be a new course, and then the person who was looking at it said, oh, there was a course in archive that had the exact same title. So that's when that came up. So this would have, and probably next time we'll write in there, say, recommend bringing back or create a new course. But that is exactly what we were saying is we had approved that they needed this course and there probably wasn't one there that fit the description that they wanted to use. So that was fine with the committee.
So Dwayne, with that subcommittee chair stating that change is there, are you fine with making that change on their recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, then thank you, Joe, for the point of order. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the recommendation from the CE Local Needs and Special Topics Subcommittee led by Vernon Hawkins. Their recommendation to accept, yes, Robin.
I make the motion that we accept the documents from Vernon's team.
Okay, thank you very much.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that the recommendations from the Local Needs Special Topics Subcommittee led by Vernon Hawkins be accepted as presented. With that, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Joyce Williams, aye. I forgot to vote last time, but it was there. Leslie Olson. Oh, not Leslie. Andrew Gregory. Okay. Robin, how do you vote?
Approved.
Dixon.
Approved.
Rob.
Approved.
Troy.
I vote to approve.
Dwayne.
Approved.
Linda.
Approve.
Thera.
Approved.
James.
Approved.
Rhonda.
Approved.
Joe.
Approve.
Mary.
Approved.
Olga.
Approved.
Kevin.
Approved.
And we're gonna ask you, Tom, because Vanell is not here no longer here.
Approved.
Cindy.
Approved.
Okay, so it's been approved. Dwayne, we still have a quorum, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as we move on as we move on to the next item?
Okay, the next item is a report from other subcommittees. This would include the Professional Development Subcommittee and the Course Revision and Archive Subcommittee. Just if you have any comments. Cindy Griffith is the chair of the Revision and Archive Subcommittee, and she did not send me any reports or information. So the other is professional development, and I believe that's Vernon. Do you have anything to report?
No, I have nothing to report on professional development
Okay.
today.
So, and that agenda item kind of opens it up for any other, I guess, questions anybody might have.
I have a question on the program of study and the program of study and the changes and the flexibility of the program of study. We're finding that the program of study, all of you, I'm sure you were, and it's a great opportunity again, like I said, to have so many that are online watching us. So it's an opportunity to have clarity around the program of study and the flexibility as it was designed. And I think many of you, and maybe not, but I certainly was thinking that the program of study was much like the field of study, in which the program of study stood as the program of study, that all of the courses that were in the program of study, whether if they stated the maximum hours or if they stated the number of hours, that was the hours that the program of study had to be within a certain content of courses. But now I have gotten clarification that actually the program of study has a little bit more flexibility than the field of study. So I'd like Dwayne and or Mindy to explain that flexibility and how the program of study will be noted so that there is no confusion like with me or others in the future about how the flexibility in the program of study.
Okay, and I believe the topic was specifically on clinicals and practicums in the EMS programs.
I just really want, since it does not pertain to just a specific program, it pertains to the program of study as a whole, because I don't think flexibility is just with one specific program. So if you would just discuss the flexibility that is allowed in the program of study, any of the program, and all of you do know that programs of study, how many is it, 16 that have been posted on the coordinating website? Dwayne and his team have done an excellent job of getting those out there posted. And the submission of a program of study is a great opportunity for those of you who are looking at putting in a degree. And I'm not saying that you don't have to go through all of the proper process, but it is a short process if you want to offer a program of study in an applied associate's degree. So Dwayne, will you please enlighten?
So I guess the question is, if you've met certain requirements or have met like certain competencies, are you required to take the course over again? And if you can document that the student has met those competencies for one of those courses, then they can receive credit for that course. That's the, whatever the institutional process is for awarding credit for competency-based education. So if a student, and again, I'm not exactly clear on where the confusion is, but if a student has met the requirements of this particular course, then they can be given credit for that course without actually having to take it. And then the receiving institution should recognize that student should also recognize that student has those competencies and not require the student to take those courses. Now, the receiving institution can assess the student to make sure that they have those competencies. But if they have those competencies, then the receiving institution is And again, these are not mandated by law, but the receiving institutions are, I guess, highly recommended to accept those competencies as having taken that course.
Can you
And
talk
not requiring the student to take the course over again.
Can you talk about the flexibility of clinical hours if a clinical or a practicum is required in the program of study as the associate's degree? Can you talk about the flexibility that is given to the institution for the number of clinical and or practicum hours that is within that program of study structure?
Right, and this is another situation where some colleges will, need more hours to reach certain competencies. Some colleges may be able to reach it in 3 hours. Some colleges might take 6 hours to reach those competencies. But that once the student has received all of the competencies required in the clinical or practicum, then that requirement should be considered as fulfilled. And it would not, the student should not be required to take extra just because they only have 3 instead of 6, as long as they have all of the competencies and those can be assessed.
For clarification, I will put it like this. If a program of study requires a clinical hours that totals 8 semester credit hours within that program of study, and it specifically says clinical 8 semester credit hours, you can still teach that program of study with less than 8 clinical hours if you reach the competency.
Right, and I might need
So that's where it's a little bit different from the field of studies, where it is specifically that content, that course, that number of hours. So if you,
and I might need a check on that program of study, because normally we give a range, minimum, maximum number of hours.
No, it's completely said 8, and it wasn't.
Right, and that's what I need to check on to see if that was the intent of the committee or the subcommittee, or if they intended to have a range. And so if it's a range, then as long as they meet the minimum requirements.
No, it wasn't a range. It's just.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but
So,
maybe it should have been a range.
So I'm just saying that is what was then said, that the program of study has flexibility. So I wanted you all to hear that from the coordinating board staff, so that there will be no confusion. Yes, Olga.
I have a question. Like, for example, if we have an associate degree and that the college want to convert to the program to the study because the flexibility, what is should be the process?
Dwayne?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What should be the process if we have an associate degree, let's go to say welding, because then we can have competencies in the welding programs. How we can transfer from regular AAS to the program to the study, to the program of the study, yeah.
Right, and as long as you revise the program and that include all of the courses that are in the published on the website for that program of study, then that's considered a program of study.
And Dwayne, what if they do not? Let's say Lone Star wanted to offer the program of study in cloud computing or the program of study in electrician, and they do not currently have that degree. How would they submit that for that degree under a program of study?
Right, and again, it's just submit a revision either to add the award or to revise an existing award. And as long as you include all of the courses that are published for that program of study.
So at that point, they're not submitting the feasibility, the certification, any of that paperwork. They are just submitting the degree.
Yeah, again, to clarify, if they don't have that program at all, then they would need to submit a new program, a certification.
Dwayne, so are you saying that there's no separate application for a statewide approved program of study compared with an AAS, the way we submit it today? There's nothing,
No,
no
well,
other box to check?
well, on the new program certification form, there is a box to check that says it is a program of study.
Okay.
And it's right under the program name. So
Okay.
you can
That's what I
check that
thought.
box to say this is the program of study.
Okay, thank you.
But again, if you're revising a program, then it's just based on the curriculum.
Olga.
Let's say I'm the student and then I wanted to have an associate degree, but the college has only the program to the study. What is the benefit for me as a student to have an associate that applies science degree or a program to the study? What is the best for the student? What it could be the best?
Right, and the intent is that if a student starts a program of study at one college, and then they need to move to the different part of the state, that they can pick up on the same program of study at the new community college without having to repeat the same courses. So the real benefit is more if they're moving from one college to another, that they can get credit for the courses that they've already taken.
But it's still an associate's degree of applied science, right? The program of study still leads to an associate's degree.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Joyce, you're muted.
It is just, you're right, Rhonda. It is an associate's degree. It's just a statewide associate's degree that is the same across the state. It's the intent to have the student have the same skills, meet the same qualifications that employers need across the state. So I'm getting several comments about this discussion. So it's something that they're asking that we make sure that we have clarity posted either on the web, on the Coordinating Board website, or Leslie or the TACD website about the program of study and clarity of being able to look at the 16 program of study that Dwayne and his team did and put up, so that all colleges can go out and look at those programs of study that you may not currently offer now, that you may now be interested in offering, and the process to be able to submit for that program of study. Again, it is a little bit shortened process than what is currently there. So great job, Dwayne, on the program of study.
And this is Mindy speaking.
Yes.
We will give priority to getting that clarification onto the program of study page on the Coordinating Board website. Dwayne will work with me to make that happen as quickly as possible. Can we do that, Dwayne?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Dwayne. Well, any other agenda items? We have gotten the reports from all of the subcommittees.
The only thing we have left is discuss future agenda items and then the timeline for future meeting dates.
Okay. Well, I think we already know one future agenda item, of course, is always making sure that we try to schedule a welcome workshop based on some triggers that have come from both the Vernon subcommittee, Robin's subcommittee, and some concerns that Olga and James both have brought up, as well as Dixon, about welcome workshops that really are needed for us to bring the field together to be able to be more responsive to industry. And of course, those are driven by Mindy and Dwayne and their team. So that's always, I think, a topic that we need to talk about, how to look at developing workshops and how to host them. Yes, Robin. Yes, Robin?
I didn't have anything. No.
Oh, okay. I just saw your face. Any other agenda items that we need to discuss that you all want Dwayne to and Mindy to discuss? Wow, Linda has nothing. Can you all believe that? Linda has nothing. Okay.
Again, as things come up, between now and the next meeting, you can certainly email me to add them to the agenda, and I'll work with Joyce and Olga to put these on the agenda.
Okay. All right, so let's look at next dates. And we're almost to hit the 12 o'clock mark. So our next date for our meeting today is May. When is our next meeting scheduled?
On my calendar, I showed July 30th as the next one we previously scheduled.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what's on my calendar. I have July 30th, that's on a Thursday.
This is Dixon. Is it going to be Zoom format again?
Dixon, have you returned back to your campus? You think your campus gonna be open by July?
This is my campus. This is my living campus. This is the way it looks. I kind of doubt it.
I do too. I really do. How many of you are probably going to be in your campus, your office, your home campus locations as of now?
No. We're trying to return July 6th.
Yeah. We'll probably, Mindy and Dwayne, if you all can plan for a Zoom meeting.
Yes, I'm waiting for a moment to jump in here. The agency will likely operate on telecommute status through August 31st. There may be some change to that, nothing set in stone. However, we anticipate that all scheduled meetings this summer will default to a virtual environment unless something changes.
Okay. Do we want to take a minute, Joyce, just to get an update from everyone about intent to return to classes, just to share it across the state or not? Or is that not appropriate for this meeting?
Mindy, Dwayne, is that permissible?
I think anecdotally it might be of interest to people. We have also ourselves posted on the coronavirus update site news that has been provided to us about college closings and openings, but I don't think it violates any requirement of open meeting for us to just sort of give an update.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure, since we were online, that we did not violate the open meeting, in which we have to usually have everything posted, but this is not part of our formal agenda. So sure, Linda, why don't we start with you?
We are submitting formally requests for non-credit classes this summer. Starting next week to finish certain hands-on programs for those students that were intending to graduate in May, to try and finish them out best we can without having clinical sites for healthcare yet, although Methodist Hospital announced clinicals will reopen next week, which is great news for all of us in Houston area. Our Transportation and Global Logistics Technology Center, we took the keys yesterday. So that officially opens Monday. We have a move-in today and tomorrow, actually. People won't be there every day, all day, but limited.
The protocols are really tight. I have very lovely face masks, and they're very tight protocols we've set up, both for administrative slow return to offices and plus student return.
Great, great. Vernon? Vernon?
Sure. Here, had to unmute myself. Basically, the district, we are really shut down this summer, but we are submitting proposals as to those classes, primarily clinicals, lab settings, who may need some time this summer in order, as Linda said, to get those spring courses and programs that had to kind of stop and couldn't do their clinicals or their lab assignments to get finished. So we are, or let's say that we're looking at proposals are being reviewed as of Friday. They'll be reviewed, and we'll be opening back up actually on June the 8th for some of the lab setting classes that'll be approved. And these are only spring courses that were held up and couldn't complete. As for the summer, we're also doing proposals for the summer and fall. And like I say, officially we are shut down for the fall, but there may be some courses that may be allowed to have some hours on campus later in the summer and into the fall. But I think that I think right now everything is kind of touch and go within the district. Joyce, you might want to, say if anything that you may know, but I think that the standard pat answer is that we're basically, our operations are shut down through August 31st, and then we'll probably open back up on a kind of wait and see basis for September. But that's all up in the air right now. There has been really no official announcement as to what we're going to do in the fall. Right now, it's just, I think the district is just taking information from folks. The only thing that is assured is that for the next 3 weeks, from June 8th for about 3 weeks, there will be some access for those classes. Of course, a really tight protocol as for with a distance, and then also having to restructure some labs, no more than 10 people in a class setting. So therefore, some of the labs have had to, where the instructor may have to teach 3 labs in order to get them all in, because they will only have no more than 10 people in a space at a time. So like I say, different environment. It's definitely a different mantra in the district now, but and it's interesting times. So that's kind of my update as to what we're doing.
And committee members, let me dive back in here. I think Joyce made a good point. This is not on the published agenda. If you've got quick updates, such as we're going to be closed for the summer, or we're doing something quite different from, what the typical college might be doing, which is to keep it safe, keep it closed, where exceptions are being made, observe protocols. Please feel free to share those. But other than that, I think we need to keep this very brief and respect the fact that, as Joyce points out, we don't have it on the agenda.
Okay. Andrew?
We are closed for the summer, or we're offering everything online, I should say. We did some lab makeups in May for P-Tech and welding, police, fire. And there's going to be a decision about the fall sometime in June.
Leslie?
Temple is limited opened. It opened on Tuesday. That is for labs and for other required hands-on learning. Dr. Shelley Pearson is working to figure out clinical space, and Dr. Guzman Trevino is keeping abreast and getting us hopefully prepared for the fall.
Dixon?
Did you say Dixon?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, primarily like everybody else, online through the summer, welding, machining, hands-on types things. We're trying to do social distancing, putting labs together. Fall's kind of up in the air. one of our campuses is primarily athletes. We are bringing them all back and thinking NGCAA is going to do their thing and everything's going to be normal. I can say to the group, and Mindy, I'll try to be brief, but in the beginning we did a full SWOT analysis, if you will, and it gets kind of scary with environmental threats. If you start really thinking about what could be and what could happen, ask that question: do we think, if we'll have one student and or one faculty member sick, the contingency planning from there on out. And there's, I think, a very good probability that that may happen. This isn't the forum for it, I know. But just looking at the collective wisdom and the data of what could happen has some pretty stark and scary things that I think demand conversation at some point, even to the point of, are the state coffers going to squeeze? Does money have to be given back? What happens if fall doesn't make and half our revenue's gone? Sorry for the dissertation. That's it for me.
Hey, Rob.
South Plains College has been open to the public since May 18th. I've been in office since May 11th. Essential occupations, we've been training in labs. Primarily, summer 1 will be online only. Cosmetology, we're going to start with hybrids next week. Summer 2, it's up in the air if we'll have hybrids in person. At this point in time, we're scheduling for fall in person, but we're going to meet and discuss probably hybrids.
Okay, Troy.
College-wide for Austin Community College is going to be online. Some of our CTE programs, welding, automotive, building construction, will have a summer 2, July 6 start, reducing some of our section numbers so we can, respect social distancing. Plans for students to get screened before they come into classes and all that stuff. Looking for fall, kind of similar thing for the fall, at least as of now. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, Dwayne.
All of our staff actually returned Tuesday as well to our campus. We are doing very similar like everyone else, small labs for the hands-on to make up labs from the spring, as well as the summer courses that are currently going on. They're set up as hybrids, all lecture online, only labs being done face-to-face.
Okay, Mary.
Same as everybody else, we're implemented the instructional continuity plan. So a lot of the labs that need to come to campus and finish outcomes, they're on campus. Everything else is hybrid in some format or fully online. It's 3 phases of return. We're supposed to return June 1st to the office and go back to campus. So CDC guidelines, masks, and all that other fun. So it's a new world.
Okay. Joe.
A lot of parallels. Let me summarize things here. We're on a 21-day cycle. We just started what we called phase 2 last Monday. That's where we brought in some of the hands-on folks like the cosmetology. We also opened our child development center at that point in time. 21 days later, we will evaluate. 21 days later, we will evaluate. 21 days later, we will evaluate. If the timeline runs straight, August 5, we'd be back in-house. We've told faculty and folks, if you want to stay online, fine. We are recommended hybrid considerations for folks who say, I've got to have space. We are scheduling fall classes, but we are messaging everybody, faculty, students, the whole community, that at a moment's notice, we could switch everything back to online. What we want to avoid is the blindsiding effect that the students and faculty felt coming back from spring break. They went out on spring break, they were gone the next week, they never came back again. So we're just warning folks that these are the battle plans, but like all battle plans, they usually don't survive first contact with the enemy. So that's where we hope we'll be. Best case scenario, August 5, we're back on show. Up until that point in time, we're all remote. I'm in my office 1 day a week. Everybody else is taking rotations, so there are minimum folks in any office at any one point in time.
Okay, Rhonda.
You know, we're doing a little bit of what everybody else is doing. It's just a combination of all of those things, but we are not back. A few essential employees have gone back into the administration building, and it's just a waiting game right now. We do have plans and we have phases, but we're not in that phase yet.
Yeah. James?
TCC is a lot of the same thing that you've heard from other faculty, but I can't say anything else. I'm just a department chair, so that's all above my pay grade about what everything else is. So
Okay. Thera?
I'm kind of like James. Some of this is above my pay grade, but I'll tell you that we're kind of limited back on campus. We're all supposed to report back on campus no later than July the 6th. And our plans are to resume the fall semester as normal for now.
Olga?
Okay, we already went back all the correct technical education. They were making up classes for the spring. Summer started yesterday. We have a hybrid classes, and the decision is going to be taken in June 10 for fall semester.
Okay. Tom? Tom?
I think I'll defer to Dean Walker.
She's not on. Oh, there she is. Yes.
I am. We're like everybody else. We just have a few people that are coming back to complete their spring courses. We're not closed, but everything is online for the summer, and we really don't know about fall yet. We have plans in place to maybe bring back 25%, 50% or so forth, but for summer, we will not be on campus.
Cindy?
We are phasing in personnel through the summer, making up labs that we didn't finish in the spring, following all the CDC guidelines and protocols and masks and even temperature taking. Yes, all that fun stuff. And fall, we're planning both ways. And we've got it already listed on all of our information that in a moment's notice, it could change back to online.
Kevin?
We're planning on bringing students back on a limited basis starting June 1st, mostly in applied labs from the spring. Small groups, very strict protocols, both for anybody that tries to get on campus. And just faculty teaching will be on campus. Everybody else still be remotely staffed. Administrators will be probably staggered over the summer coming back, just trying to keep social distance. And then maybe by summer too, we'll bring applied labs back. But as many of you, everything I say is subject to change tomorrow.
Yeah, just like everybody else, we're feeling our way as we go, and we're going to consider a lot of hybrid blended type courses to ensure we can follow CDC guidelines. But one thing that is different than nobody else has mentioned is we did decide to close the residence hall. We will not have on-campus living in the fall.
Okay, Olga, do you have anything else? Okay, so with that,
I've got a question, if you don't mind,
yes.
real quick.
No, Tori, go ahead.
Yeah. Would the coordinating board consider, and I'm not sure if this is a question for this committee or not, but consider revising the definition of hybrid to maybe apply to CTE programs where it's not, where it's a little bit more general or a little more vague, Right now, I think the definition is something like over 50% would be distance or online. I guess I'm wondering, does it make sense to revise it at all, or any discussion on that?
Troy, I'm going to have to ask you to repeat that question, please.
Yeah, I guess my question is does it make any sense for the coordinating board to look at or reconsider the definition of hybrid as it applies to CTE? To maybe say, instead of saying, over 50% would be distance or remote, maybe saying a significant portion or something along those lines.
Well, I'll say that's certainly outside the purview of this meeting, and I'm not in a position to address that in any substantive way. It's a question that is certainly a good one to ask in this strange interval we find ourselves in. It is perhaps a question you should put to the agency itself, perhaps via the coronavirus update email link. But it's a question that I will make note of and ask internally about.
Thank you, Millie.
Yes, Andrew.
I guess, could it also be considered, I know that you're not addressing this officially, but could also be considered the definition, whether it's 50% synchronous, 50% asynchronous, as a way to provide face-to-face instruction virtually.
And again, if you believe the agency needs to consider waiving or modifying definition for this pandemic situation we find ourselves in, that's a question you should submit to the appropriate individuals at the agency.
Right, and I guess to clarify, these definitions are in our, I think they're in our rules, or at least in our guidelines, and so it would be a major effort to make a permanent change. But again, if you need special consideration during the coronavirus, then you should submit those through that website.
And just for, just my own personal opinion, Dwayne, I think that we're not going to go back to the way it was. And so if we're going to look at this change, I think it's probably going to be more of a permanent change than just for the coronavirus, because I think this is going to force us to move more into the online environment, even with CTE programs. So I know that this is not the forum for this discussion, so I don't want to labor that with this. And so if there is nothing else, I'm gonna thank you guys for being here. You were actually more attentive.
So when is the next meeting date? Have we got that finalized? Have we got that finalized?
We did. It is July 30th, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
July 30th, and that's on a Tuesday. Thursday, sorry, it's on a Thursday. And Dwayne and Mindy will it's going to be virtual. And Dwayne and Mindy will get us the information. And if there are agenda items, you can, of course, submit those directly to Dwayne.
Right.
So with that, then I'm going to ask that you all be safe. Thank you again. And we are officially adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all take care. Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Great job, Joyce.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
We're off.